blocks in ourselves. And we shall begin our yin practice with a little bit of resistance stretching at the beginning. You guys have done a little bit of this with me. On Wednesday, I'm doing a full class. I'm subbing for Cindy, and it's gonna be 16 stretches, 8 for the low body, 8 for the upper body, and it's all this resistance stretching. So if you're available, it will feel great when you're done, okay? So before we begin anything, let's just find our seat. I'm propped up on my bolster. You can be sitting with cross legs, long legs, sitting in a chair even, and just connecting. Letting go of the rush before coming to class. And being aware of that breath. Feeling the breath as it comes in through the nostrils. Being aware of sounds around you in your room, outside. And being aware of anything in your body physically that you may need to attend to today. And honoring that throughout the class. And as we come back to this breath, a reminder of how essential breath is, and connecting us to this metal element, this season of autumn, connected to our lungs, our respiration, and our large intestine. Breath of utmost importance. So just sense into it for another few rounds, noticing it coolly pass through the nostrils, warming up through the back of the throat, moving into the lower belly region, which is actually not our belly but our diaphragm, which pushes down on the organs with our deeper breaths. So that's why the belly lifts out with those deep breaths. And if there's any intention that you'd like to set for today's class, just bring it on into your heart, seal it in. And I will offer this idea of value. We'll talk about that as we go through class, but your inherent special you value, just as metal is of value to our earth, you are of value to our universe. And when you're ready, we'll blink those eyes open, meet one another again. Hello, everyone. And we're going to begin with our first resistance stretch for the lung organs. So we're going to do 2 today. The first is for the lung. The second is for the large intestine. And so we're going to begin on hands and knees, coming into what we would call a tabletop position. And our hands are planted on the floor, okay, as wide as the mat, nice wide hands. So in this stretch, we begin with our torso, our shoulders over our wrists. We're going to plug the hands into the floor. So you're resisting down into the floor, and imagine the hands coming together. So you're imagining this kind of motion, hands moving together like this, and also pushing into the ground. So without even moving, you're feeling the activation in the pecs, right? You feel that in the front of the chest, the pec muscles. So now with that activation, we begin
bum, or towards the heels. So pull back, release, relax, come back to starting position. Squeeze hands together, push in and together, send hips back. Come back to neutral, and we do it again. We keep sequencing through. So the key to this is the engagement. Feeling that contraction in the pec muscle, feeling that engagement. Keep the engagement through the movement down towards your heels, and then come back up. And what we're doing with this is we are stretching out the fascia that surrounds the tissues, and also activating the meridian of the lungs. Meridians run on both sides of the body. We'll do a few more. So on Wednesday, I'll be doing a full class of this type of stretch. And we work every muscle group, all of the meridians connected with traditional Chinese medicine. Let's do one more. So this is heating, and you haven't noticed it's heating. And come back up, and maybe just come to a kneel. Close your eyes, and sense into the energy that may have been kind of building, coming up with that movement and stretch. So there are a few different stretches we can do for the lungs and for this muscle group. And we did, the first day we did one that was on the wall. And the lung meridian runs down the arm to the thumb on each side. So just sense if you can feel any pulsing in the arms towards the thumb. And if not, that's okay. Nice, and the next one is now, we did this one together last week, is for the large intestine. So we're gonna come to a lunge, and we are gonna move right into yin after this. So coming to a lunge, low lunge, we've got the right, I'm gonna mirror you, so let's bring the left knee forward. Left knee forward, come up. Bring your right elbow to the outside of your left knee. So this is kind of like a twist that we do in yoga. And now place your left hand outside the back of your right wrist. And you're pressing. You're gonna press that, I'm gonna get my sides right. Right hand into the left. Press away with the right hand as you pull now the right arm back with the left. That's your resistance. Release, let it go. Come back to starting position. So I'll face this way as well so you can see. Twisting over, holding the outside of the right wrist. You press into that left hand and then pull the arm back and release. And we don't need to go super far, right? So most of the stretch in the fascia occurs at the beginning of the stretch. It occurs when we're up here and we're pulling back. So we can move back and come into a twist, but we don't need to go to where we think we need to feel the stretch, right? So we're very accustomed in stretching to want to feel that stretch at the end range. We don't need to go there. And release. Push right hand into left, pull that right hand back with the left as you come up to twist. Let's do one more. And we can release, come to high kneeling, both arms down by your sides, close your eyes, sense into the arm. Sense into that right arm, notice what you're feeling. So we work the back area of the arm into the back of the shoulder. And this is the large intestine meridian. And it runs down the arm to the index finger. Wonderful. We're going to step the other leg forward now. So now we move the right leg into a low lunge. Inhale, bring that left elbow to the outside of the right knee. That left hand is just sort of softly open towards the ceiling. Reach the right hand over the top of the left wrist. Push, push, push with the force of your bottom arm into the top, and then begin to pull that left arm back. And release, let it go to come back to starting. Push. So this work blasts through, in a sense. It helps work out dense fascia in the area. And when fascia is sticky and not moving, this is when we get pain in our joints, pain in our in areas that we feel like it's muscle and we need to stretch. It's the fascia that's restricting the movement. Back, release. Push into that right hand with the left, and then the right hand overpowers to bring the left back. Good. And yeah, you're feeling your body temperature come up with these, right? One more time, push, push, and release. Nice. Come back to a high kneel. Close your eyes. And again, notice what you're feeling. So sometimes you may feel almost like a coolness in the area or an openness. Everyone's experience is a little different. Sometimes certain words come to mind. It's very, personal, but there's commonalities as well. So just sense into what you may be feeling without censoring it. Good. And now we're going to begin our first yin stretch. So taking your bolster and bringing it behind your seat on top of your heels, and allowing this bolster to support you for the child's pose. And we're going to do this twisting child. So coming to our tabletop, reaching that right arm up, thread it under, and then you can sink the hips down to rest on the bolster, and the head comes down, resting on the right temple. Now, while we're here, before we start the yin, notice how this right arm can be heavy in the floor, in the mat. So one more time, just push this arm into the floor. Push it into the floor, and then begin to slide your hips a little bit to the right. Moving a little to the right and release. Do that one more time. Push arm into the floor, slide hips a little bit over to the right, and release. And now, you may have a little more space for that arm. We just opened up. And now we rest in this twisted child's. And once again, we are opening the back of the arm here, as well as compressing in the internal organs. We may feel some opening around the lat muscle on the right side. See if those right fingertips can be soft, allowing them to just kind of curl in. If you like, you can lift that left arm up and wrap it around the low back for a little bit more twist action. You can always keep it on the floor for support, for comfort, whatever is really suiting you here in this pose. Connecting with the breath in the back body here. And also noticing it as the belly's compressing against the thighs. Feeling it in both spaces, right? In the front and the back, and maybe even side to side. Last couple cycles of breath here. And now inhale. Nice and full into that belly. Exhale. If your left hand is wrapped around, bring it back in front of your face on the floor. And then push into the left hand. Lift the head up. Come up to just hands on the mat, leaning forward, or you can come up to high kneel and just notice any flushes of energy, fluid through that right side of your body. And then we take it to the other side, coming to tabletop, lifting the left arm up. Nice full breath in that wingspan, and then swinging that arm down underneath, coming down to your left temple. And again, you can sink your hips back to support on the block. I prefer this to the puppy version of this pose. And when we arrive, a little activation for the arms. So pushing the back or the top of the left arm into the floor, into the mat, and then a little, very micro movement over to the left with the hips. Release, come back through center, push arm down, push into the floor, and again, hips slide just a little bit over to the left. It feels so good, doesn't it? I hope you guys enjoy that feeling as well, because for me, it really creates a lot of space. And then allowing that arm to land in a soft spot, maybe with less intensity, right? So lessening the edge a little bit here now, and finding that first edge of resistance, and we hang out here. And again, you can wrap the right arm up and around your low back if it suits you. And connect with your breath moving in through the nostrils. Smooth and steady. And touching on this notion of the metal element once again. In autumn, this is the season of letting go, which is difficult for a lot of us, myself included, quite challenging. I like to hold on to summer. So we connect with this part of ourselves that's willing to let go, to make room for new things, to allow energies and even tangible things to move on, move back into the earth. And the metal element is considered very valuable, right? It is the precious, shiny, brilliant element. And it has a lot of structure. And we can think of how we can build structure into our lives this time of year to help with that adjustment of being in this season. And how naturally in nature there's a lot of structure this time of year. Animals are getting things in order for the winter. And we can build structure into our lives with our wellness routines like yoga. And things that build value into our lives as well. And we are done on this side. Take a nice inhale. Filling up low belly, releasing that right hand down to the floor in front of the face, pushing into the hand, coming up, and just noticing any after effects of that side. Giving it a moment. So again, we're opening up here through the back of the arms, the large intestine. And now we're going to do a little bit for the front body. So while we have this bolster here between our heels and our seat, lean back and bring the palms of your hands towards the floor. Engage your hamstrings and your glutes so you're not dumping into your low back. So activate through the glutes and the hamstrings. Fire them up so then you can lean back and find a little more space to lean back on the palms, okay? So lots of activation in the back of the legs, and also you're gonna feel the quads as well. And then draw that chest open. Feeling some space here now in the front of the chest. Keep rooting those hands into the floor. We're not going to be here for very long. Nice full breaths into this chest area. Feeling the lungs expand towards the sky as the hands root down, legs are strong and active. Final breath here. And keep those legs engaged now as you lift up. Good. And release. Woo! All felt that? Good. Nice. And we're going to come down now with our legs long and bringing the bolster on our hips. I think we did this one a couple of weeks ago. So bolster's right in front of our hips. And we reach the right hand to take the left side of the bolster. And then I'm mirroring you though. So I'm going to tell you what to do and then I'll mirror you. So bring your right hand to the bolster and then cross over the left, okay? Right hand and left over top. And here we're going to enjoy either being a little more upright, just staying right here because this can feel lovely just as it is, or allow the torso, the head to begin to fold down. And we feel lots of opening in the backs of the shoulders and through the spine up through the neck. This one is so nice. I really enjoy how comforting this one feels, as well as, excuse me, inviting lots of opening. So the right arm is underneath the left, and just allow the body to sink. If it's too much on your neck, keep your head upright. And just hold the bolster like so. And the breath can feel a little bit compressed, restricted here, right? Because we're forward folding, the head is in towards the chest. There's a lot of folding in on our lungs. But use this compression, this tight space to really connect with the breath. So use it as a tool to really sense the breath moving in through the nostrils, hearing that little whistle as it comes in through the nostrils, and filling up into the lower centers.
We're just about done here. Let's take our final breath here, tracing the breath in the nose, down the throat, into the belly. Exhale. Begin to lift the head first, really nice and slowly, bringing head up. And release the arms down to the side. And just connect for a moment with those after sensations. And now we bring the left arm underneath and cross the right arm over top. So switching sides, and this time it's left under, right over. And again, just see how the neck is feeling at the starting position. It may feel different on this side, and begin to round down, finding that first sort of edge boundary of resistance. And rather than wanting to sink into it even more, as a lot of us want to do as yogis, it's like, ooh, I can chase that sensation a little bit more. Rather, meet that first place and hang out there. And again, be with that breath that feels a little bit squishy, right? Feels a little bit tight now in this shape. Feel it in the front, and also notice it in the back body. The back of the heart is very open here. Sense into the breath, lifting that back of the heart, that area between the shoulder blades. How important our breath is, right? The value of our breath. We can live weeks without food, a month or more without food, days without water, but mere minutes without breath. How valuable that breath is, how precious, just like metal. And our final round of breath here, into the lower centers. Exhale, begin to bring head up first. Release the arms. You can shift the bolster away if you like. And just sense into any movement of energy. Feel any fluids sort of moving around in the back of the shoulders, maybe in the front area of the chest. Nice. And then bringing our back body to the bolster. So coming to the bolster with the bolster coming right up towards the back of the hips. And you can bring your blocks down for your knees if you like. We're going to take chest opener and also a hip opener here. And so leaning on down first for our chest opener, feeling nice and secure and supported on this bolster. If you need a little something for your head, then get a pillow or a blanket and just bring it under your neck or your head for that little bit of extra support there, so the neck is not feeling like it's taking on too much stress. And then bringing the blocks under the thighs for some support for the legs, the hips. And then we bring our arms out to a T or to cactus. Let's just kind of play with the angle, right? So
bring your arms down by the sides of your body and then start to sweep them out like we're making those angel wings in the snow. And stop where you feel that very first edge, right? Sometimes we bring our arms right out to a T or cactus, but let's really be aware of where that edge is for us today. So start low, begin to slide the arms up, and then, hey, this might be where I stop today. It's much lower than a T. So let's just hang out here, and one arm may have more range of motion than the other. And then we settle. We allow the legs to feel heavy on the blocks. If you have lots of opening, you can remove the blocks and allow the knees to open up even wider. And we're gonna hold this one for a few minutes. And while we do, I'd like you to think about this idea of value again, preciousness. And what is special and precious in you. It's sometimes very easy for us to look outside ourselves and see the value in others, right? What they're bringing to the world, what they're bringing to the plate, so to speak, or bringing to the table. I think that's the phrase. But what is special in you that you need to maybe just hold and recognize and appreciate, because we all have it. We all have something special in what we do and how we relate to the world and how we relate to our family, how we acknowledge others that we come into contact with every day, how we connect with other beings, our animals. All of us have something very unique. So bring that into your heart and hold it. Without, again, judgment or feeling like you need to qualify it in any way. Like that's a silly thing to recognize, or that's not really that special. No, bring those things into your heart. How you add value to your life, to the lives of those around you, because you do. Be with that as you continue to breathe, opening the chest, opening the lungs. Allow the eyes and teeth to be soft, and the fingertips soft. And stay with the breath. If your attention is being pulled away, that's of course normal, as we know. Come back to the breath. Come back to sensations. Can you feel those subtle meridian lines running down the arm? Into the thumb. or maybe into the forefingers or the index fingers as we were just working the back of the body. Just another few cycles of breath. And now bring in a breath that's a little more full. Feel that low belly lift up. And on your exhale, slide your arms down to the outsides of your thighs. Help to bring your thighs back together, soles of the feet on the mat. Slide the blocks out of the way. And then push to roll to one side and slide that bolster out of the way. And come back down to your backs. Keep the bolster close by though. We will use it again, so keep it close. And with bent knees, just notice how that back body is feeling on the mat right now. And let's do a little lower back love. So lifting the feet off the mat, bringing the knees in towards the chest. Let's bring them for a nice full squeeze first. Lifting the head up towards the knees, a nice squeeze. And then allow the head to come back and soften that edge of the squeeze of holding the knees, and then rolling a little side to side. So just rocking left to right, massaging out that low back, and taking some breaths along the way. Letting it go, finding any niggly spots today. And if you find a spot, then hang out there and roll on it a little bit more. Stay in that spot, move the knees in and away. Give it some love. And then take it to the other side, rolling around again, seeing if there's another spot that needs some attention. Bringing the knees in, squeezing in towards the body. Good, and flush it out. Just go side to side again. Very nice. And then bringing the feet back to the mat, stretching the legs long. We're gonna take banana asana and use the bolster for a little bit of weight on the hips. It kind of feels nice. You don't have to use it though. So begin by walking the heels over to the left, just a little bit, right? Maybe take it less than you normally do. Just see where your edge is again. And hold there. And then pull your bolster over your hips and allow it to give a bit of weight for the hips. It also helps to kind of ground that the right hip from lifting up, and then bringing arms overhead. And you can either hold the elbows or take a hold of the right wrist with the left hand, and then again begin to bring that edge over to the left, right? So begin to walk the shoulders, the arms over to the left, and hanging out here. So take the first few seconds to squiggle around, move around, get your optimal position. I needed to change the hold of my arms. I was holding my wrist. It wasn't feeling nice on my shoulder. And now I'm holding my elbows. So always adjust in those first few seconds. And then soften in. So let's see if we can remind that right shoulder to be heavy. sometimes wants to kick in and do a little work, so remind it to sink into the floor. Notice your breath as it's lifting up that bolster, that very, very deep edge of your breath, lifting that bolster up. And then notice how it's inflating your ribs on the right. Can you open those ribs just a bit more? With every inhale, without holding or forcing, but just sense into that expansion of the ribs on the right. And we take another inhale now. This is our final inhale. Draw in. Exhale. First begin to inch the arms back to center, bringing shoulders back over the center line, and then bring your feet back. You can keep the bolster there to move the feet if you want, or you can take it off and place it back on again. We're just going to pause and center. So I'm leaving my bolster in place. And now begin to move the feet, the heels over to the right. Again, maybe not go as far as you typically go. Reminding the body that we don't need to chase that sensation. And then finding the arms in a position that's equally or close to equally at that edge of resistance, and holding. And so if you're holding the wrist, we switch the grip, taking the right hand to hold the wrist or the elbows. And the bolster helps to weigh that left hip down a little bit into the mat. And we remind that left shoulder to let go into the ground. Soften the face around the eyes. Notice if you're really gripping with the hands, and if you can kind of soften that hold. You're still holding, but it's not with a lot of tension. And again, feeling that bolster just lift gently with breath. Even though it's on our hips, our breath is getting deeper and we can feel the bolster lifting. And noticing the breath in the side. Noticing the ribs on the left opening, expanding, softening. Breathing into the left lung. mind is wandering. Sense the breath again. Just about done on this side. And on your next inhale, trace it through the nose. Bringing it a little deeper, a little fuller into the low belly. And exhale. And then begin to inch those arms back through center and the feet. And you can just remove the bolster. And notice how the back body's feeling again, bringing the backs of the arms down by the sides, taking a sort of mini Savasana, feeling any fluids moving through the arms, through the sides of the body. And then bending our feet, bending our knees and placing our feet on the mat. Pushing into our feet and bringing our hips up over to the left and knees down to the right. So if you had your bolster, you can pull it again right under your knees on the right, or you can pull a block under there and find a twist, a double knee twist, arms maybe in a cactus here. I'm actually going to pull one of my blocks for between my knees as well. I have the bolster under and then a block for between the knees. And you can again explore, maybe bring the knees a little closer to the chest. So kind of play with the edge of the knees. Bring them further away from your body. Notice how you're feeling that in your spine, where it's going. We're bringing the knees a little closer and we bring more compression into the abdominal region. And so a twist is especially good for the inner organs, as we know, and this is another pose now for the large intestine. In addition to working the meridian lines on the back of the arm, twisting is also very good, of course, for the large intestine. And so the large intestine is the yang organ of the metal element, and the lungs are the yin organ. And they both have this purpose of taking what we need into the body and releasing or letting go of what we don't need. Right? Both organs do that. The large intestine absorbs what we need and releases what we don't. And the lungs take in the oxygen and then release in form of carbon dioxide. Think of that comparison to this time of year. Maybe letting go of some things in your home or energetically, so that you can bring in other components that are ready to come into your life. Just waiting for the space to come in. It's easier said than done, I know. And I have a couple of kids that have a hard time with that letting go as well. I'm just about done here. Two more cycles of breath. And then our final inhale. A little juicier this one, more breath. preparing to unwind. As we exhale, we begin to slide that left knee off the right and bring the left foot back to the mat so that the knee can come up to the sky and then the right follows. Press into the feet to resituate the hips. Pause here. If you were using the bolster on the right, maybe bring it over your body so it's ready for you on the other side. And same for the block. And then push into the feet, bring the hips up over to the right, and then the knees down to the left. And again, situate with any props that you need. I'm going for the bolster and the block. And again, just kind of slide the knees away from the body and then into the body. See where you want to land. And bringing them closer is a little more compression on the abdominals. We can keep the head very soft here, very neutral, more passive for this yin version of a twist. It's really calling to you to look out over the right hand, then you can do that. I'd say everyone looks great, but I'm only seeing your windows and fireplaces and things like that, but I know you guys know what you're doing there, so I'm gonna say you look great. Continue bringing your focus back to the movement of the breath, that respiration. It happens without any work from us, right? We don't need to think about breathing, it just happens. And yet we can also affect it. And when we do bring our focus to our breath, we can slow down, drop in, become a little more present and serene. We draw in our final inhale on this side, bringing it all the way down to the low belly as it pushes out. And we exhale, we slide that right knee away from the left, bringing right foot onto the mat. The right knee opens up to the sky, and then the left follows. We're in bent knees here. I'm just gonna push into the feet, resituate the hips. And now open up for our Savasana, extending one leg and the other. If you'd like to bring the bolster underneath your knees, go ahead and do that. Or a little pillow under the neck, or cover up, go ahead and make any adjustments. And get nice and comfy. I'm gonna start some music. And my speaker may be a little noisy to start, so we'll see how it goes.
Connected to your post success and dreams I found you.
There we go. So as you're settling in, just feel your bones really nice and heavy now. Everything's sinking into the mat. Feet flop open, and the fingertips curl in.
And just a gentle reminder that this pose has just as much value as every other pose we've done, if not more, right? We're really signaling the body that it's okay to rest and digest. So give yourself full permission to take in this Shavasana. Soften around the eyes and allow the teeth to part. And enjoy your Shavasana.
Coming back from that stillness and allowing the breath to get just a bit deeper. Allowing the inhales to naturally grow as you begin to move the fingers and the toes. Just kind of waking up the body a little bit, moving head left and right, moving around the jaw, maybe swallowing, allowing that breath to carry you and make bigger movements. And if it feels good, reaching those arms up overhead, interlacing the fingers, turning the hands inside out, taking that body stretch, hands away from the toes. Inhale, exhale, roll over onto your left side in fetal. Give your body a moment to adjust here. And then push into that right hand to come up to a seat. Sort of drowsily making your way up. And we bring our hands in front of our heart space, Anjali Mudra, nuzzling those thumbs against the sternum. Connecting once again to that preciousness of you and your breath. Bringing a little smile to your face. May you carry that preciousness with you all day and throughout your week. Wishing you many blessings. Namaste. Thank you. Thank you, Chuck and Julia and Sharon. Thank you, thank you.